Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Deron Slater from Stand For, and you guys, I am back with my guests from the other day. We have Dag and Diane,
Uh,
or Die.
die.
Uh, Die.
Diana.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
just
Diana. Sorry. You know what, you guys? I've been messing up on names a lot, recently. So
You're getting
I'm
old.
so sorry. Sonia. I kept calling her the wrong name yesterday on the podcast. You guys, but we're going to talk about Jacob Blake. We're going to talk about the rioting. And then what Di had called me earlier, she also expressed some frustrations too about what Jacob Blake's dad actually said. Now, also, you guys, just for the facts, okay, to establish the context, or does it say the foundation? Dag and Die. Let's do this. Okay, let's do a cross reference, right? Just to make sure that we have our facts straight, right? Because remember, we always want to be factual, right?
Correct.
Okay, so this is what I have. So he had a warrant, and it was for a third-degree sexual assault, which is a felony, and also domestic abuse, felony. But in 2015, he had a felony charge of endangering people with a firearm or brandishing a weapon, pointing it at people, also resisting an arrest and causing bodily harm on an officer. 2016, he was arrested for misdemeanor battery. Then also in 2016, strangulation, which is a felony, also domestic violence, bail jumping, disorderly conduct. Now, come to find out, you guys, there are two camera angles. And from the first camera angle, it shows that the cops were fighting with him down on the ground, trying to arrest him. He gets up, he walks to the other side of the van, and that's where the second video comes in. Dag and Die. What do you guys have?
Oh boy. Well, I'm pretty certain you're going to have an idea where I'm going to go here. I don't have any sympathy for any criminals and their criminal activity and behavior when they get shot by the cops. Now, let me go through this here a little bit. And, this is where you need a music intro because we're trying to share this with a bunch of our friends. And since I'm on high restriction, Facebook makes me, do this the hard way. But this was not a good man. He's not a good man. I don't care if he has kids, okay? Because this isn't about his kids. His kids can be wonderful. Doesn't matter to me. This is about a man who was approached by the police, who the police knew was a felon and had a warrant for a sexual assault crime against a minor. He was known, according to the police in the latest reports, to carry guns in his car, and he had a knife. So now you run away from the cops. They try to tase you. The taser doesn't work. They know you are known for carrying guns in your car. You open your door, you reach in, you get shot 8 times. Too bad. That's what happens. That's what happens when you run from the police and you're a known scumbag with 5+ felonies. Having his kids in the car has nothing to do with this. It's awful that they had to witness any of this. And it turns out he's paralyzed now. Well, you should have thought about this before you decide to become a scumbag thug criminal. I don't have any sympathy for this. Not for any criminals. I didn't grow up an easy life, and I easily could have been, a scumbag criminal and doing heroin under the bridge. But you know what I had to do? This whole BS about me having white privilege. I grew up as a little kid, as a young boy, where my influence was deep in a black and Hispanic neighborhood. And you know what I didn't turn into? A gun-toting pile of shit. And I'm not going to sit here and let the Democrats completely monopolize this issue as if this poor guy, he wasn't a poor guy. He was a scumbag, period. The shooting was justified. There was reasonable cause for the police to believe he was reaching for a gun because he's known to carry guns. And here's the thing. He didn't care whether his kids were in the car. What kind of a father is he? You want to play him like Super Dad of 2020? No, he wasn't Super Dad. He's a pile of crap dad. And I bet if we looked after his whether or not he paid his child support, we'd find a different story there too. Wasn't a good person by any sense of the imagination.
Okay, Dag. But what as far as the record, I just want to corroborate. What else do you have as far as pertaining to his record?
Well, we know that this kid had a gun or a knife. There isn't proof yet that there was a gun in the car. No, none of that proof exists. But who cares? Listen, as a society, we're about law and order. Okay, so this entire argument that you can become the victim of of an individual who has a terrible record of being a fool, and then when something bad happens to a foolish person, all of a sudden everybody else and white people and cops are to blame. If you took the cops and white people, because we got to add white people in because it was a white cop. If you took that out of the equation, the odds that this pile of crap was going to die in the streets anyway are probably pretty good because he wasn't a good person. He had a warrant for sexual assault against a minor. He's known to carry guns. Who carries guns in their car? Illegal guns, not legal guns. He didn't have a legal gun registration amongst him. So why are you carrying illegal guns unless you plan to toss them off a bridge after a bad decision at 2 a.m? I'm tired of Democrats and black people playing this game that live in inner cities like, oh, poor him, poor this, poor. Come on. We're all capable, white or black, of making our own decisions. And there's a whole society here in the United States made up of Hispanics and made up of Asians and Irish. And, there's shitty people amongst us all. There's no way we can deny that. But I'm tired of this black card. Now you're burning down Kenosha, Wisconsin? Like you pull into Kenosha, Wisconsin, right over the Illinois border. And I live in Illinois, and you buy cheese and sausages, and they have cool festivals. You're going to burn down car dealerships and hurt people. But over what? Over what? Over a scumbag thug?
And here's the thing too, though. But here's the thing too, though, Dag. So people instantly went to protest without the facts. Okay. That's the number one thing, okay, that even makes it more convoluted, okay, that makes the problem worse, okay? Then second of all, not only protesting is turning into a riot now, okay? Now you're burning down businesses, right? Third, why do you have to make it about race when it had nothing to do with race?
You don't.
Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like,
I get you.
So here's the thing. So how can you, first of all, let's tackle this false narrative, okay? Cops, look at me, guys. Cops are not out there, okay? They do not wake up every morning, okay? Put on their bulletproof vest, okay? Put their firearm on their side or on their belt and say, I'm going to shoot a black man today. Cops do not wake up with that agenda, okay?
They don't.
We have to get to the facts, okay? Is that in the black culture, there's this gangster culture, okay? Is a culture to disrespect the police, okay? To fight the police, to hate the police, to mistreat the police. That culture is responsible. And just how Brandon Tatum has said this, the Hodge twins, Candace Owens, myself, other people who are conservative, we keep saying this. All you have to do is be compliant and you will not get shot. Fact.
Correct. This is where this becomes so ignorant, I can't even wrap my head around it. And my biggest problem with this is the Democratic Party is condoning this idiotic and ridiculous mob mentality in the name of votes from stupid people. And it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And anybody who, listen, I put up a post today, and I was going to save it for tomorrow night's show on my show, and I'll probably still use it. But Anthony Carmen Malchiotti, a wonderful man and a good friend of mine, an Italian-American like my family was, who came here and struggled the same way the Irish did, and anybody else who came here. You know, here's something interesting. Do you know that in the South, in the early 1900s, an Italian was considered a black person? They were lynching Italians who nobody ever talks about it. My point here is that every single race that came to this country has been accosted for one reason or another in a horrific way. But we move on. I don't run around telling people I'm an Italian American. Most Asians that I know don't run around going, I'm an Asian American. I'm a Pakistani American. Go, no, I'm from Pakistan. I'm an American now. Because being proud to be an American is more important than anything. Nobody's fleeing to Pakistan or Taiwan to build their future, leaving America to go there and build a life. It's preposterous. There are more rich black people in this country. The best place to be black is America. Period. End of story. Factual. You want to argue facts with me? You want to call me a racist? If this wasn't your show, you'd know what I'd say. This is absolute nonsense. And for little white kids to be running to cities, what do you think Kenosha's made up of? You think Kenosha's primarily black? No, it's white little idiot morons who've been sucked in this bullshit with BLM, Black Lives Matter, which is just a funding funnel for a super PAC called Act Blue. Period. Undeniable. Black Lives Matter has never done a thing. Not a thing. Not one. If you go to their page and you go to the girls who are running the Chicago division of Black Lives Matter, they said every couple of weeks we put out a box of some food, which is canned goods because you can't put perishables out there. And then people take them and then we put them in. That's what Black Lives Matter's done. I have watched all of their videos, every fucking one of them, and they're liars. They are a super PAC funnel. All they do, billions of dollars. They've raised like $1.8 billion since 2013. And they have, in 2020, I think they raised $1 billion and funneled it all to a super PAC, Act Blue, that gives all their money to Biden and the Andrew Wangs and the Elizabeth Warrens. It's complete and utter nonsense. But black people in inner cities believe that Black Lives Matter is doing something for them. They're doing nothing for them. They're doing nothing but help them and encouraging them to create more hate and destroy their own communities. It is absolutely vile.
Now it's come to the norm of rioting and destroying people's businesses that have nothing to do with any of this.
They went to a church that had a Black Lives Matter sign in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and burned the fucking church down. Excuse my French, but I'm sorry. At some point, I'm tired of listening to this narrative about a silent majority. Hey, let me tell you, conservatives, when are you going to stop being silent? Because at the end of the day, this is affecting you. People are moving out of cities and towns all across this country that they grew up in. Wonderful cities and towns. And
Dag, let me add to that part. Let me add to that part too.
Let me tell you something about conservatives. Conservatives are weak, just as weak as the Democrats. The problem is the Democrats have anchored themselves with this young movement, college students indoctrinated by professors in universities across this country. They have indoctrinated these young people and told them that things are worse than they are. What's her name? Jameel Harris or whatever this woman is who went on and compared America to Nazi Germany. Are you out of your mind?
Well, Dag, here's the crazy thing too, bro. They're moving into politics. One of the women, okay, don't you remember when Black Lives Matter went protesting on private property and that couple came out with their firearms to protect their property? Did you know that woman that led that march, who actually was threatening that couple, she's now in politics? She's in Missouri. They voted this woman
madness.
In.
Here's what I implore. And I'm telling you, I'm a nobody in this internet marble. I literally a nobody. I'm a grain of sand on the world's biggest beach. But if anybody can hear this in politics in these cities, in Minnesota, Seattle, in Portland, in Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, biggest scumbag on earth,
Yes,
in
she
my
is.
opinion. J.B. Pritzker, when we are at the cusp. This is why the Second Amendment is so important. The minute we lose the Second Amendment, it's game over.
You know it.
It
You
is
know it.
over. You
That's what they're
lose your
doing.
right to defend yourself. When politicians give scumbags and lunatics the right, and people like Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, who have flip-flopped in a decade, and have now went, well, if we get on this train, and keep in mind, these people are old, they're going to be dead in 10, 12 years. They are going, if that party gets elected, they are going to leave a legacy of destruction in the greatest, most powerful country in the world, with the greatest freedoms, where
Be all socialist.
it'll be communist. It won't even be. It'll be fucking Cuba. And at the end of the day, these young people who have been indoctrinated by these awful, awful, awful professors and educators in the schools here. In the schools here where Diana's kids go, they taught her 14-year-old and 13-year-old that there are 22 genders. There is not 22 genders. This is where it begins. Begins in grammar school and junior high.
You're having a transsexual.
Bingo. So
transsexuals are coming in and giving speeches. We didn't approve that as taxpayers.
Bingo. So here's the thing, you guys. They are strategically placing their people in roles of influence. This is what I have been talking about. We have to put conservatives back into positions of influence. We have been removed. And not only have we been removed, we have been compliant. Why are we compliant? Because
it's not compliant.
It's the corporate. No, that too to add to it, right? I mean, here's the thing, right? It's a plethora of problems. It's a plethora of them. And we have been dismissive. We have been passive. We don't want to risk losing our jobs. Let me tell you something. You don't want to risk losing your livelihood. It's making you run the risk of losing your kid's soul. But first, they will lose their mind. This is what we're dealing with, Dak. As I told you before, the woman that's in Missouri right now, who actually is with Black Lives Matter, she's in politics now, okay? Also, the guy from the DFL here in Minnesota that went to Bob Kroll's house, okay? This guy, he is like the cops for Trump leader, right? He's been he's a highly decorated cop. He's respecting his community. This guy from the DFL had a protest in front of his house and called him a grand wizard and basically threatened a cop.
Then there is enough is enough. Enough.
Come on, man.
Enough. America, if you love your freedom, if you like to wake up every day and go, I'm going to go to work, and when I get done and after dinner at 11 o'clock at night, I'm going to go buy an 80-inch TV, you better get your heads out of your rear ends, because this is absolutely preposterous. You will lose this. The economy will crash. You will lose your job if Joe Biden gets elected. Many of you, not everybody. You will lose. Your jobs will go
bank accounts
to the abyss. You won't even know what to do, and you'll be begging to the federal government to continue stimulus checks and to take care of you. And at some point, you won't be able to stop, or you won't eat, and you'll die. So,
that's right.
If you want the freedom to eat steak and have a barbecue and have your friends over and buy a cool car and restore it in your garage, you better get off this Democratic train. You are losing your minds. And any Democrat, and let me tell you something, I told you this earlier, Duran, I never gave so much thought to morality than I did since Sunday. And I told you it was going to, in our video, screw up my Sunday. It has screwed up my Sunday, my Monday, my Tuesday. I have done everything I can to try and prove you wrong, and you are absolutely 100% right. You cannot call yourself a moral person, not even this much, if you're a Democrat. If you're supporting any of this nonsense with Joe Biden and abortion. What's your standard? What is your standard? The problem is Democrats don't have a standard. It's scream,
Bingo.
it's yell, it's act like a jerk. Hey, we're unhappy with Trump, so we're gonna burn down some car dealership in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The fuck is wrong with everybody?
But there are white Democrats.
I'm sorry about the swearing. I know you hate that.
There are white
Thank you, Dad.
Democrats. Okay, so I pulled up the ratio and the people shot.
I gotta pee. I'll be right back.
July 30th of this year, and 560 people have been shot by the police. 111 of them have been black. So roughly 440 some people are white. What's the correlation? What's the disconnect between white and black, and why? Okay, there's Democratic whites and there's Democratic and there's Republican whites and blacks on each side. So look at the number of people total that have been shot by police, and the majority of them blow away the majority of blacks that have been shot. Why is it taken to the next level of crime? What is going on?
Diane,
what has happened?
Diane, let me just tell you, okay? That is a trained reaction to a overly, used narrative. The Democrats have been doing this since the day of the plantations, before they were known as Democrats. Okay. And this is what I keep telling people. This is why history is so important when you think about both of the political parties, their origins. What is their philosophy? The Democrats have not changed. They have become a little bit more sophisticated, in their tactics, but it's still the same tactics, but with just a tad more sophistication. Okay. Think about this. On the plantation, they didn't allow the slaves to read, but remember, on the plantation, they had a black pastor who would preach to the slaves, so that way that these slaves would not open up the Bible and read it for themselves, so that way that their minds would be controlled.
Right, they didn't want to educate anyone.
Bingo.
Right.
Think about it. The blacks that actually ran away, who became free, remember, they will go back to the plantations. They would tell them, come on, you can have freedom. Those blacks will go, no, I'm going to stay here for master. And listen to this. The ones that was faithful to their master would actually go with the slave owner to hunt the free black. Check this out now, though, okay? When you have the Democrat Party, remember the ideology now. Now let's listen to this. This is more of an ideology. That's what it is. Think about this. What did the KKK do? The KKK would burn crosses on the lawn of those blacks who were conservative. What did they do today? Instead of burning a cross, they burn down your business.
Okay, but the children of today, I don't think, my opinion, I don't think that they're being taught about slavery within their own home. They're being just taught hate.
And that's what, and Diane, that's what I'm talking about. It's the same. It's the same ideology. It's the same. The Democrats haven't changed. They're not burning crosses. They're burning down your business now.
I think.
Go ahead, Dak.
I think the idea, and I want to comment onto what Di said, because I know Di and I know what she's thinking on this issue. Children are not being taught that there were changes amongst this.
Bingo.
They're being taught today that slavery was bad and there was the KKK and that's that, and they hated black people.
And the KKK were conservatives, remember? And the KKK were Republican. But
right. And their party switched. But they weren't being taught any of the things like I was taught.
I don't even think that it's that in depth. I think they're just being taught to hate, plain and simple.
Well, no, I agree with that. But
be careful because you are black, and if you get into a situation, you're going to die. It's plain and
That's the
simple.
same, right? That's the
Right.
same way they taught them on a plantation.
But
Right.
in my era, when I went to school in the 70s, they taught us the whole thing because we came out of the civil rights movement of the 60s, and they taught us about slavery, and they taught us about what government was doing to change that. And they didn't indoctrinate us and say the government had it right or that one's opinion was bad or the other. They said, what a terrible thing. What do you think? Now they don't teach that middle part. Let me put my hands up here. They don't teach that middle part I was taught. So if you don't teach the middle part, you can't teach the love. You can only teach hate and contempt. You
Yes.
need to find the middle part to find love and respect. Love and
Yes.
respect sit in the middle of your daily life. And that's the bottom line there. You'll never change my mind about that. Because you can be in a relationship of any kind, business or personal, or whatever the case, political. If you miss everything in the middle if you don't look at the middle, the core, who eats just the crust of a pie? Nobody eats a crust of the pie. The crust is what encases everything that's wonderful about the pie. If all you're going to do is eat the crust, you're going to miss all the delicious things about the life that you have and you live. Holy
Bingo.
crap, that was a great analogy. I
Bingo.
just made it up.
Yeah, I love that. No, I love that analogy. And so, Diane, that's why I always tie it in, because history is so significant to understand like where you are going. So this is why I did a video about 2 years ago when I said that the left is going to start burning down neighborhoods and businesses. I said this over 2 years ago on Facebook. No one believed me. But here's the thing, you guys, the Democrats, they're all about racial separatism. They're all about racial animus. Just like how this guy was a supreme denialist on this terrible interview, Dag, that I had told you about the other day.
Right.
He did not want to admit the truth that Antifa, they're Democratic. Black Lives Matter, they're Democratic. KKK, Democratic. Black Hebrew Israelites, they're Democrats. Have you realized that all the hate groups, Ezra, I mean, wait, what was the name, Dag and Die of Aslan? Sorry, Aslan. Remember, there's like, we're going to reclaim the southern part of America as Mexico. They were Democrats. Isn't it crazy that all the hate groups in America are Democratic? Black Panthers, Nation of Islam. There
was a time, and
crazy.
I remember it as a kid, where the Black Panthers, as crazy as they were, if it wasn't for them, a lot of things wouldn't have changed in Chicago.
I give them some credit.
You got to give. Listen, I'm very big on giving credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I give them some credit.
I cannot give credit today. I can give no credit to BLM.
Exactly.
I can give no credit to Antifa. Antifa, in their name, they are exactly what they call themselves. They call themselves anti-fascist. They are literally a fascist organization based on Marxist principles. And let me go back to this this young woman, Jamil, or whatever her name is. She's a Fox News contributor or whatever.
Are those your guys' sprinklers or my sprinklers?
No, that's cicadas. We're in Chicago here, so it's cicadas.
Oh, I thought it was my sprinklers.
We
okay,
have,
no, you're
17
good. Go
year cicadas are out. Anyway, she's taken a lot of criticism for saying that, for making a few comments that there's no difference between Nazi Germany and America. Very little difference, which is preposterous.
She doesn't know her history.
Statement. But she quotes a book written called is it Carte? I can't remember. I can't remember what the book she's quoting. I was just reading it a little while ago. Anyway, the point is that book talks about how Nazi Germany took ideas from America to create their entire Marxist ideology.
Correct.
There is absolute 100% truth in that. And
That's
let me
true.
tell you why. And it's factually, you can actually read about how they've taken that from us. Because Let me give people today, people, Democrats, if there are any paying attention here, as to an example. What they learned in Germany back in the day, in before Hitler's rise to power, was the same thing you can see today on the news on Black Friday. That if you put 12 TVs up at a Walmart, 1,000 people will line up and beat the shit out of each other to get one. So this leads to the legend of where Joseph Stalin was teaching a class on Marxism, and he pulled all the feathers out of a chicken. This is a legendary story. He pulled all the feathers out of a chicken. The chicken was miserable and bloody, and then he set the chicken down in front of all these students, and he supposedly dropped seed, and the chicken followed him all around to get that seed, in spite of how miserable and plucked that chicken was, bleeding. There is truth to what this young lady said, and that truth lies in what the Democratic Party is trying to do. And if they abolish or get Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, all of a sudden, Joe Biden, which is disgusting that now he wants to abolish the Second Amendment, because if you look at his history, he's never been for that until recently, and he's never done anything. I mean, he's authored one bill and he's been co-author on several others that all related to that bill. He's been a useless politician sucking off the teat of the American taxpayer. But now he's all about taking guns, which is ridiculous. If you lose your Second Amendment right, Democrats, let me be very clear here. You lose the right to control your government. You lose the right to control your freedom, and you lose your right to everything that you know today, period. The Second Amendment was built to protect yourself and defend yourself for all the rest of them.
From tyranny.
If
From
you take
tyranny.
away the Second Amendment, none of the amendments matter. They
Exactly.
will all be changed. They will all be amended, and the government will no longer fear the uprising of the people. Now, one last thing here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right now, people are trying to uprise, and that's a constitutional right to revolt, to protest, so on, etc. And people challenge me on this argument all the time. But when you start hurting innocent people, you become the problem. You're not you're not protesting. You're not revolting properly. You're not going after legislative things that can benefit your community. You're just being an asshole. And if you're just going to wake up every day and be a jerk, nobody wants to deal with you. And if you come into communities like where I live, I'm outside of Chicago, there's going to be a line. I don't care what your color is. You start breaking into houses here and pulling Trump signs out of my yard, there's going to be a line of dead bodies. You can't do this in most of America. Most of America, it's 331 million people in this country. You got, 65 million people are made up of the three largest cities in this country. You are not a force. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, you are not a force against most of America. We will decimate you. We will destroy you. And we will take your life. And we don't want to. So don't fucking force my hand.
Don't think we're weak.
I am not afraid to fight a battle. You come after my family, my property, my livelihood, and I'm not gonna look for you. But if you look for me, you're a dead man.
So, Dag,
sorry, was that angry?
No.
Let me add to that about basically just call it the manifesto that Hitler actually got from the Democratic, to be a lot more specific, Jim Crow
exactly
law,
what
right?
I was referring to.
So Hitler uses.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
For all your listeners, this man right here, and I'm pointing at him. It doesn't look like I am, but I am on my screen.
Yeah.
That's why I got died. This man right here, very, very sharp. You should listen to him. He's amazing. Go ahead, D-Ron.
That's the problem today. We look at what, we look at surface. We're not looking at you for anything other than how you make us feel. and we like you, we love you, we appreciate you, and you don't mean any harm, and we don't either, and you keep it right there.
You speak the truth.
You keep your company good to you, and you treat others like you want to be treated. That's what I was always taught.
Do you know what it is, Duran? You make it easy to not see color. You make it easy just to see a man. When a thug comes up to me in the store and tells me my Trump shirt is going to get me killed and calls me names, I start to see different things. But when you're just a good person and you're moral, color is a non-issue.
And you care to make a change.
Yeah. There you go. And so, you guys, let me use that into a segue to just piggyback on a lot of points that you made, Dag. And what's truly, truly phenomenal right now is I can remember every point that you made. And so I'm going to add to those points. So as I said with the manifesto, we're just going to say it's the Jim Crow laws that Hitler actually used, okay, you guys, to basically win his agenda over the Jews. All came from the Democrats, right? But then also, too, Dag, something else that I just want to add to what you said as well. BLM, with them being full-blown Marxists, right? Their agenda is
terrorists.
You have to find a group to exploit in order to basically fulfill your agenda, right? So they're just like, well, you know what? We're going to use blacks, okay? And also the homosexual community, because the victimization that they have in America, which is false, okay, but this is victimhood, okay, and that's what the Democrats have always been about ever since the days of the plantation. There has always been a victim class. There was a true victim class, but remember that victim class was released and also given the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, right? So these were freed people. But now let's fast forward today. Let's tie this all together, okay? The Democrat Party has always been about racial separatism, racial animus, terrorism, right? Controlling people by any means necessary, psychological manipulation, mental slavery, disenfranchisement, okay, disillusionment, etc. So people wonder, where do they get the violence from? Why are they burning things down? When you look at the KKK, this is when these people were able to practice their ideology fully. And as I alluded to, they were burning crosses, shooting blacks and white radical Republicans, lynching blacks, especially in the South, especially for being conservative. You look at today, there's so many amazing parallels. Now, they can't lynch you, right? Because of the laws. But what can they do now because of the laws? They will abuse the laws. They will burn down your business. They will dox you. They will put out your personal information along with your address and your family, and they will tell people to attack you. They will kill you if they catch you on the street wearing a Make America Great Again hat or anything.
They won't kill me.
That lets you know that you support Trump. The Democratic Party has not changed. They have become more sophisticated with their tactics. And right now, what they are doing is that they are systematically, strategically placing people in positions of influence to advance the Marxist agenda to eradicate, for number one, the black community. Why do they want to eradicate the black community? The Democrats now, okay? Forget the three radical lesbian Marxists. Why do the Democrats want to get rid of the black community now? Because of black conservatives.
Correct.
Black conservatives are the biggest threat to the Democratic Party. So they're like, let's get rid of the black community by starting a race war that they will surely lose. And we will definitely be able to take control of the Hispanic community because now they can replace the black vote. So when you look at history and you look at it all today, you guys, evil is evil. Evil doesn't change its ways. Evil will try to convince you that it's not evil. This is the same evil we have been fighting for centuries. Abraham Lincoln, okay, the radical Republicans, the civil rights movement, and even today. This is the same party. They haven't changed. Same methodology, same
What is that? A
ideology.
sheep in a
A
wolf
wolf
in
in
sheep's
sheep's
clothing?
clothing. Yes,
A wolf
absolutely.
in
And that's
sheep's
why I
clothing.
cannot stand a liberal Christian. And this, Diane and Dag, this is why I had to stress to you guys about morality. When you understand morality cannot be arbitrary, and you like, wait, there is a set standard. Once you lock into that, you realize that, hey, a person that sits up and says, I'm moralistic, but you just raped, you just killed someone, you just robbed someone, you realize, look, you're not a person of morals. You're on crap. You're a wolf in sheep's clothing. There's
I
no such
just
thing as a liberal Christian.
I just heard a news report that and I'm going to do this on hopefully I'm going to find this information. I've been noticing a lot on Google that things that come out right now that are conservative, I cannot find them. YouTube's taking down the videos. Google's not reporting on me. You got to go 20 pages in to find it. That there is a police department somewhere in this country. I can't remember where it is. I'm sorry, I don't know, because this was just a couple hours ago, where they're being instructed not to respond to rape calls.
Yes.
To women.
Yes. Keith Ellison said that here in Minnesota.
Do not. Was that Minnesota?
Yes. Keith Ellison said
Keith
that here
Ellison,
in Minnesota.
That's who it was. Keith Ellison said, don't respond to rape. Hold on, people of American freedom, where we look to our police to save us from this kind of abuse. Police, Keith Ellison, God, I'm so glad you knew that. Keith Ellison said, do not respond to rape calls. Are you kidding me? I mean, what kind of a person with any moral compass who believes they have any thought of good would support this? And why would a government entity say we don't? Because essentially you're saying, well, we don't care if she gets raped. We don't care about women. This is Democratic policy at its finest. It is absolutely should be the poster child for the Democratic Party. It should have been the DNC, other than their little sideways Satan sign. It should be, we don't care about women. But Kamala Harris, who challenged Joe Biden on his racism, who fakes being black,
exactly,
to a certain degree, is now, I mean, my head's going to explode. And Democrats, are continuing to follow them like sheep going to slaughter. I don't get it. I can't believe how any human, great American who appreciates the freedom to buy any food they want, own anything they want, build a business, and do everything they want, the greatest country in the world, would follow people who purposely and blatantly state they want to take it away.
Hey, Dag,
what the fuck is happening?
Dag, let me add this comment to Laura Underwood. Hey, Laura, where you want to find a source of reference, right? You want to look up Dinesh D'Souza. Okay,
Dinesh
on Google.
D'Souza, I love him.
This man is a straight up beast. Okay, and I mean, this guy's a walking like encyclopedia. Like honestly, I mean, this dude's a talking Botanica. Like honestly, he really is. So look up Dinesh D'Souza for that source of reference. Okay, because Dag and Di and I, we like to make sure that whatever we say is actually factual. Now, let's get back to the initial topic at hand. Di, what did Jacob Blake's father say that completely perplexed you?
Because I you guys, and again, like the last show we did with you, and you said, if you don't have your facts, we're going to crush you. I don't have all the facts, and I don't know a whole lot of things that you guys are talking about. I'm being honest, but what I know is in my heart.
What upset
you? And being a mom and being through a lot of things in my life, that is for another show. But anyway, for the father of this Jacob that was shot to get on TV and actually admit to hating all white people struck me so hard, because I actually could cry right now.
She's starting to cry, I can tell.
It's offensive, it's hateful, it's hurtful, and
Go ahead. You can
Yeah,
cry on
no,
Duke
no,
Duran's show.
it's
She's crying.
that hits the core of hate, in my opinion. The lowest that you can go. If I was in the situation that he was, I would never stoop to that level, because for one, I hope to think that I'm involved in my children's lives more in depthly to keep them out of a life of crime the best that I could. So I would kind of blame myself if I got to that point that I did something bad. I messed up as a parent. But for him to go ahead and say that he hates all white people is just infuriating blacks and whites and everyone else in between to hate more. And that, you know, yeah, that's really a shame, because that's teaching, that's the wrong message. I get that they're hurt, I get pissed off, I get that they want to go after the police, but there's a process. And to take it to the next level and make it even worse, because now it's not even going to that. You commit a crime and now you riot, and now there's the hate, and it's just a huge ball. It's not a tiny little knot right now. You know what I mean?
Well, it instills fear in all of us of, when the kids do go back to school, what kind of repercussions are they going to have? Dealing what are people with minority children in our school system? How are they going to behave to white people?
I'll tell you what
How
happens
angry are going to be white people
in
towards
this house.
them? White kids.
My kids have multitude of friends of different races and different colors that they associate with, and they're I don't we and as parents, we don't pick and choose that. If the kids get along and they're good, I'm speaking on my behalf, that I'm all for it. I look at that, how they're playing and how they're getting along, and they're all gonna swear and they're all gonna be silly boys, because I got two boys, but you know I see anything beyond that, and I nip it in the butt right then and there. And if it happens again, they're not invited here, and I don't want my kid associated with that. I don't want to see my kid illegally grabbing a gun, getting into drugs, or dropping out of school, or getting a girl pregnant. All this is on my mind. I don't care what color, what race you are. So yeah, I grew up in one of the most racist towns outside of Chicago I grew up in. And I am not a racist in my heart. I don't see that. I see what people have to offer, and I see what I give. I want to just get that back from someone. I want a good-hearted person in my life. And I'm not looking at how much you make, where you came from, what color you are. That's what I'm instilling in my kids, and I'm busting my hump to do that. And for this Jacob's dad to get on there and just kill it all with one statement about hating all white people, that's completely wrong. And he ought to be ashamed of himself for doing that, at the least.
So, Di, it's something as being a devout Christian is one thing that my scripture says, and it's so profoundly deep. It's so true, right? But this transcends human understanding. It says it's not what goes in a man that makes him unclean, it's what comes out. Basically, if you apply that to right now with what that man said, that's in him.
Right.
That means that's what he's taught his son.
Right.
Okay. Those are called generational curses that you pass down. Okay. This is hate. This is racism. And you know what? CC is on right now. CC is here right now. And you know what? I'm going to have a heart-to-heart with you and Dag and also the audience. And I'm going to tell you guys something that is so true, but it's going to be so shocking that you may be in complete disbelief when I say this, that you automatically are going to reject it. But let me just tell you something that is so true. And a lot of people are too afraid to say this. Majority of the people in my family who are black, now I have white people in my family, I have Latino, okay? I even have a couple of Chinese, right? But majority of the blacks in my family, especially the ones who are older than me, are racist as hell. Majority of the blacks that are way older, okay, that I know, that I have come across, CC would tell you the same thing. Majority of the black conservatives I have talked to would tell you the same thing. The black community, we are the ones, okay, with the race problem because they cannot rightly reconcile history because there's unforgiveness, historical disdain, frustration, anger. Okay. They do not know how to release it. Now, as I alluded to earlier with my point about the black conservative in America and how we are the biggest threat to the Democratic Party and why they're trying to get rid of black conservatives. And if you think I'm lying, look at how black conservatives are treated. Now, black conservatives are treated the same as you just spoke upon about how you felt. They treat black conservatives the same. So trust me, it's not so much your race. And you hit the nail on the head before when you said it's hate.
But you know what hurts me?
Hate doesn't care about your race. This is hate.
Because I'm white. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. This is hate.
Thing that he hates all whites. It's the statement of hate.
That's right.
It's Americans and people. We've all suffered different adversities, and most of the adversities we suffer today as this generation is things that we grew up with. We grew up poor. Our parents didn't have a lot of money, didn't have good skills, didn't have education, whatever the case may be. It's just hearing a person at this time who is black going, I hate all white people. And then that gets publicized, but then shooting a 5-year-old black kid in the head riding his bike, it doesn't.
I just talked about that yesterday.
Creating an element of fear where a majority of the population that is wearing masks right now will never go to the grocery store again in fear of running into a black person thinking they might get hurt the same way they think not wearing a mask may kill them. We cannot have this. It is unacceptable. And that man is a pile of shit. He's a garbage human being. He instilled the behavior that his son was known for as a felon. He is responsible. For creating that product of his, that was his environment that created that product. And it doesn't matter. I would say the same thing if that was a white man. Screw him. He got shot 8 times and he's paralyzed now. Shouldn't have been. Where's his dad? I want to know where his parents are. How did you make such a screwed up child? You can't say, because that kid, it's not like he was in the military and came back from Afghanistan with PTSD. He just was an asshole because his parents made him that way.
Exactly. And you know what? With all of us being conservatives, okay, we are America. That's the silver lining. We are America, die. And America, we are vital to America. And the conservative voice, black, white, whatever, it's so important right now that we actually speak into culture. And it's absolutely imperative.
Country, Ron. That's the core of this country.
It's imperative that we take America back. It's imperative that we take America back.
Yeah.
We cannot, listen, we have no other option but to take back our country because, we have tried to be peaceful.
Right.
Abraham Lincoln tried to be peaceful. The radical Republicans, Diane,
coming pissed.
That's right. They tried to be peaceful.
They're lighting up about how they're going to come out and they're going to do the same thing. And I say, don't. It's not going to make, 2 wrongs don't make a right is how I was taught. It's not going to help anything. We got to be smarter and I don't know. We all want to do something, say something and show some action, and what's the right thing to do? I only can speak for me. I'm a single mom. I got 2 boys. They're teenagers. They're being filled with all this hate in school. And they went through it. This was a brutal divorce for my kids. you know, and there was a lot of hate dad, hate mom, hate all that. And I have busted my hump every day to keep it better, to keep it civil. And if it doesn't start in your home, you think you're going to go on the streets and stop all this idiotic behavior? It's manifested so big right now. It's impossible to do that. You can't walk into that scene and go, wait a minute, guys, let's talk about this. No one's going to want to talk.
Exactly.
Beat the living life out of you.
Exactly.
So stop this racist hate, and if you just got to know me and I got to know you, and we can sit and talk, and you know what happened 50 years ago or even last week, what are you going to do about it? Why can't we just sit together and be people? That's what this country is about. It's a melting pot.
So Di, Laura and Cece both have said the same thing, and they have said the same thing I have been saying for a long time. Okay. A lot of these black pastors aren't doing their job. They're not teaching forgiveness. Okay. What they're teaching them is a gospel called the profitable gospel. Okay. Where they just only want money and they don't care about transforming the state of the person. They don't acknowledge the sin problem within their congregation. And because they have failed to do this, now we have Black Lives Matter. And because a lot of pastors on the other flip side of the coin have failed to do this, now we have Antifa. Okay. Antifa. So think about this, Di and Dag. Can you imagine if everyone who was in that White House, if they were conservative, what America would be like? Can you imagine if conservatives actually controlled all the mainstream media? America would be completely different.
But the media is not supposed to be biased.
The media is the biggest enemy to America. It's the media.
Hypocrites. They're the worst.
The media is the enemy. The hands down largest enemy, the largest military of hate in America. They are the most disgusting and despicable. And when 70% of the media is made up of liberal media, you are a fool if you don't ask questions. We should be ashamed. Listen, here's one thing I say all the time on my show.
I'm going to send an invite out to CC too.
To my conservative friends. You should be ashamed of yourself. Stop being the silent majority, become the vocal majority. But when you tolerate this to continue to go on, you are part of the problem. So conservatives, when you say nothing and you only wait to go to the polls, when you don't stand up and scream when you know it's wrong, you are part of the problem.
That's right.
This 3-month COVID thing should have been 3 months. They're shutting everything down in Chicago because 29 people died. 70 will die this weekend in gun shootings. And it'll happen every weekend, every single weekend, all the time for the history of Chicago until we're all dead and gone. Our grandkids are dead and gone. They're going to keep killing each other. The epidemic, the pandemic is stupidity.
Liberalism.
Violence. It's not a virus.
Dag, the Democratic policies have murdered more people in America than anything else and abroad. How come they're not banning Democrats?
Well, we can just go, we kill 900,000 children a year in the womb.
That's right.
We kill 1 million Americans in one task. One task. The unintended consequences of COVID have created riots, looting, depression, alcoholism, spousal abuse, suicide is up, 700-800%? I mean, people are losing their jobs, their livelihoods. They're moving from their homes to apartments. Apartment complexes are jam-packed. You can't even get an apartment. The only reason I say this is because I've done this homework. That it's a nightmare. Listening to a Democrat who has no morals. It is impossible. And Duran convinced me of this. I have spent 2 days trying to prove this black man wrong. You cannot have morals and be a Democrat. You know, people challenge me all the time.
It sounds harsh though, but it's true. It sounds harsh, but it's the
absolutely
truth.
true. I was a Democrat, liberal Democrat. I voted for Obama both times. I spent my life really being part of the causes. Oh, I'm a humanitarian. Bullshit. I own businesses, and everything I voted for ruined everything I was working for. It was ridiculous. And it was like chewing off my own foot every day when I woke up. Obama proved to me, I'm going to say this 3 times. Obama proved to me that Democrats are horrible, horrible, immoral, nonsensical, bullshit people. You cannot be a Democrat and have morals. Impossible. It's impossible. Thank you, Duran, for teaching me that lesson.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I keep messing up Pamela's name in text. Sorry about that, Pamela. But so Pamela, she had a question. She said, didn't Louis from Texas make a bill to do away with the Democratic Party? They are the party of the KKK and racism. That was his reasoning. She is absolutely correct. And this is something that we're Dag and I, we agree upon. But Dag, since I first met you, which is over a year ago, you already know what my agenda is. I'm clear about my agenda. I want the complete eradication of the Democratic Party because they are a terrorist organization. And you cannot tell me anything differently because I go by their philosophy, I go by their ideology, and I go by their actions. They are 100% terrorist. You can't tell me they are not. They breed terrorism. And the thing is, what about the lawlessness with the deep state, right? Where do these people come from? How are they funded? Who's paying for Joe Biden? And you know what, Dag, you hit the nail on the head, man. When you said that Black Lives Matter, they are raising so much money that is going through a, what's the name? What's the name?
Act Blue.
Act Blue. There we go. Going through Act Blue and then going to the Democratic Party.
Every single penny that is donated to Black Lives Matter goes into Act Blue, which is a super PAC for Democratic policy and to get people elected. That's what a super PAC does. Every penny, not one penny, not one. This is public information. And any fool who wants to challenge me on this, go do your homework. You can do it in 3 clicks.
And Jan just said something too. That we forgot to mention too. Soros is funding them as well.
Here's what needs to happen. The Black Lives, maybe I should start this, but I'd probably get shot in the first 3 weeks. This Black Lives Matter, this stupid BLM. I saw this white guy driving. He scribbled it on a marker and put it in his back window of his car. Some stupid 55-year-old white guy. I was way better looking than him, by the way, at the same age. Lives of Black people matter. Now you actually are going. You're creating a call to action for somebody to answer a question. What do you mean by that? Just saying Black Lives Matter is just demanding I think your way. Lives of Black people matter. Well, how do you mean? Well, I can answer that. If you go to cities, I live in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's being completely destroyed constantly. It's not even getting as much press as other cities like Kenosha or Minneapolis until it's really catastrophic. Lives of Black people matter. Lives of Asian people matter. Lives of white people matter. Lives of Irish people matter. Lives of people matter. Black Lives Matter pins it down, and then they try and say, well, no, you don't understand what it means. No, fuck you. You said Black Lives Matter. You're implying simply in the statement that Black Lives Matter and we shouldn't be thinking about other lives. You
exactly.
Say it's in your God since 2000. It's in your name.
Exactly.
And you're not. If it doesn't matter, if Black Lives Black Lives Matter is going to continue with this narrative that we're just trying to say that Black lives do matter. See how ridiculous it is to say? Why not just say all lives matter? I don't even think because that creates all this other BS that we got to listen to. Lives
But when
of
did it not matter?
lives of black people matter would pin it down to cities like Chicago.
Look at how many people were shot by
Well,
police.
hold on.
And how many were black and how many were white?
If you made
Why
them,
does it matter?
if you made a movement in this, like say Chicago, where I live, of lives of black people matter, you force a question for people to say, what is the problem? Where is the problem? And how do we solve it? We're not making a statement that is forcing people to believe a thought, because Black Lives Matter has no solutions. They provide zeros. Go to their website. I have dissected that website from top to bottom.
Provoking more hate.
All they do is provoke rioting, looting, damaging people's property, even people of their own race and culture. They are destroying their own people. Lives
Hey,
of
Dag.
black people matter. Hold on, I'm almost done. Matter because then if we ask questions, we can find solutions to certain areas of communities across the country and say, well, this one is more in need. The same way you would run a business and say, we're going to focus on them first, and then we're going to move to this one that's second, and we're going to move to this one that's third, and we're going to raise money and we're going to make a difference. Black Lives Matter makes no difference. Their sole existence is to destroy this country and turn it into a communist country. And the problem is they have no idea what kind of shit show they're in.
Got you.
Once it's communist or socialist, all of a sudden, if black people think they don't matter now, wait until they live in a communist country. Because the Bidens of the world and the Kamala Harrises who fake their nationality and their heritage will be loading motherfuckers into train cars, so to speak, proverbially, and ruining their lives even more. It'll be
okay,
awful.
Dag, I'm getting multiple texts. They're asking if you could watch the profanity.
I'm gonna do my best, but
hey, CC, how you doing?
CC, hi, I saw you on his show. I love your hat.
Oh, thank you.
I need to say this to D-Ron's fans. I love D-Ron, and I am who I am. And since this is a show about accepting us for who we are, we're going to accept me.
Yeah.
Because I'm just as important as the rest of us.
I love it.
I listen to him every day.
By the way, I saw you on the show the other day. You are absolutely a lovely and beautiful woman and very well spoken. And you should be very proud of yourself for all your words, and you're funny.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks. I was listening. I was rushing up to get to my unit up here, and I was just listening to you all, and you were saying some really great things. And I got to tell you guys, it's really great to hear. And I really hate identity politics, but I have to say this is important. It's really great to hear white people who are not afraid to speak up, even when it's even to Black people. I love it that you're so fearless. And so what we have right now is even in the conservative realm, I had a couple of conservative women say to me, everything you're saying is true, but I could never say that because I'm not Black. And it's like, that's not true. Truth is truth. Facts are facts. And I say this all the time. Anything times zero is always zero. The facts are the facts. You don't actually have to be Black to speak the truth. Okay. So I'm so empowered by the two of you that you're not afraid to just speak truth.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Most of us are not offended.
Right.
We don't look at it like, you called us white?
Right.
And if you call me white, can I call you Black?
Yes.
I'm putting on my Trump hat too, because CC has her Trump hat on.
Stop feeling so offended.
That's right. That's right.
Like you just said, it is what it is.
Right.
You're beautiful. I tan every day in my pool.
I just think that we got to get to a point where if you and I get into an argument and, we maybe have some things that aren't so nice said between the two of us, I don't run off and then call you a racist because we got into, you know what? We just had an argument.
Right.
It's two individuals who had a disagreement, and that's
Right.
it. You know, we can't decide to throw race into all of this. This is
But
so
we
ridiculous.
do that amongst our own girlfriends, don't we?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
we hash it out, and then when she leaves, I don't go, stupid white girl. I
right,
mean,
Stupid
right.
Nick.
I wouldn't.
She's Irish.
And
What an Irish bitch.
I swear to God, if you were
Yeah,
here and we had a disagreement and you left, I wouldn't say stupid black girl.
right,
It's not in me.
right.
But if we just sat here, you know, I mean, got to the core of things and we reasoned as people with a heart, I think we can break any barrier. That's how I
Absolutely,
feel.
absolutely.
You know, I
You
mean,
know,
you want to talk to me on a level of a human, I'm in.
I am so inspired by last night, the start of the RNC when they started with the man of the cloth. And I think that it sent such a strong message that we were saying on the Republican side, on the conservative side, that first and foremost, we start with God. And I just thought that was so beautiful. I thought that it was sending such a message to everyone. And it just shows where our priorities lie and that we are about absolute order. And so I was just absolutely encouraged last night. You know, Duran hit on something when he was talking about the experience of Black conservatives and what it's like to be in our families. And I will go ahead and second that and tell you, you know, the majority of the racism right now in America is coming from Black people. I mean, and I understand that everyone participates, but I'm telling you, there has been this flip, and we have Black only dorms on our college campuses, right? So we're erasing segregation. We are erasing the efforts of a Rosa Parks, and you know,
Right.
we're erasing the efforts of these people who fought hard and long and died. You know, I think that there is a misconception that because Martin Luther King led such a successful civil rights movement, that's what these people think they're doing today, following that example. What they're missing is that Martin Luther King had what was right on his side. He was fighting for something that was right. He had righteousness on his side. That's not what this is today. That's not at all.
Not even it
Not
doesn't.
even close. And so if you're watching and you think you're setting, you're blazing some trails and you're, you know, following in the footsteps of the great MLK, I'm telling you, you're completely off the mark here. That's not, Martin Luther King had righteousness on his side. You do not.
Well, here's
Yeah.
something interesting that, you know, when I stopped being interested in Obama and I started really doing my homework on MLK, I went, this guy was a Republican. And then I started watching all his videos. And, you know, I'm 55 years old, so I've seen him. But one thing I learned is that I didn't pay close enough attention to the messages because, you know, my life is good. What am I complaining about?
Sure.
Until policy starts to affect my businesses, starts to affect my personal life. And then I start hearing people say all these terrible things about all kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, there is this, and I have these conversations regularly where with Black people who think I don't understand Martin Luther King. And I'm like, bro, you have no idea.
Right.
I understand Martin Luther King better than you do.
Right.
You don't know anything about his history.
Right.
I don't think this man ever raised his voice in his life.
No.
There was no need.
No.
He talked. He was against violence. He was against reactionary behavior. It was to every time there was something catastrophic where people got hurt or Black people got hurt, he didn't freak out. He sat down and went, okay, this is terrible. We need to find a way to convey our message or send our message better. And white people followed him because he spoke as a person, not as it wasn't because of his color. I mean, the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King, if you go back and watch the videos and watch all the documentaries, should move every white person to tears. I don't give a poop if it's, you know, Antifa or whatever. The problem is these kids today, Black or white, they're not paying attention. They're not being taught to pay attention. They're not being given the tools to learn about history. They will screw up our history. They will ruin it for you, Cece, for you,
Mhm.
Duran, for me and Di. It
Mhm.
doesn't. Their behaviors will screw up everything for all people. Doesn't
Right.
matter what our.
You know,
They're
and
already doing it.
let
Right.
me add to that, Dag. Let me add to that too. So let's clarify too. So King's agenda was basically to bring heaven to earth, right? Because when you actually, so look, you guys, one of my favorite literatures to read is I Have a Dream speech, right? That is about bringing heaven to earth, where he said that there's black, white, whatever you are, okay, holding hands, singing. That's an image of heaven. He said, I have seen the promised land. So he wasn't afraid to die. So here's the amazing thing. King's movement did not include homosexuality, for one, like Black Lives Matter, okay? It didn't include, as you alluded to, Dag, violence. It didn't include a destruction of property. You know what King did? He said, he even told his followers in a lot of his speeches, we're going to go out here and march. If you are hit, don't hit them back. Keep marching.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I love.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I
Mhm.
love that.
Keep
Yeah.
marching because we have a goal. It's harder to be peaceful. It's more loving, right? More love is required to be peaceful, okay? And to show love towards your enemy. And that's why he said we are non-violent. These people are completely tainting and unraveling the civil rights movement.
Yes.
They are bringing back segregation and
Yes.
hate. And the thing is now, so systematic and systemic racism was destroyed, okay, when they passed that last civil rights legislation in 1964. And the Democrats fought against that, just to mention, okay? And all through history, they fought against all civil rights legislation. But anyway, now though, the systematic and systemic racism it's not against blacks, it's against whites.
Mhm.
And Black Lives Matter
Well, it's
are
kind of
ushering it in.
Yeah.
They're ushering it in because you know what, Dag, you've heard some of my videos where I've said this before. I said, wake up, America. Wake up. I've been saying this for 17 years. They are simultaneously and instantaneously indoctrinating your children. They are teaching the minorities to hate whites and teaching whites to hate themselves. And listen, look, what just happened? What just came out? What are the narratives? You have white guilt. You have white privilege.
I
You
have no
can't
white
talk
guilt.
because you're
None.
white. This is what I've been saying for the longest. Wake up, America, because if you don't, these liberals are going to destroy America. They're going to unravel the civil rights movement. They're going to bring back segregation. They're going to teach hate, and they are going to destroy America from within. Cece, please talk a little bit about this cultural Marxist movie, please. And if you can go into great detail, that'll be suffice.
Oh, so I think there were some comments about the movie that I made while Dag was and Di were speaking. It is a movie. It's a documentary by Trevor Loudon. I'm not sure if you all have heard of him. He has been warning America since 1980s that there is an absolute socialist, communist, Marxist plot against America to completely eradicate our government from within. And so they're using people within our Congress, within our Senate, and they are systematically eradicating everything that America stands for. And so many times you hear people say, well, why would they take down a General Lee statue and a Frederick Douglass? You know, because it's all things America. They're hating anything with that's American.
Right.
Anything you show pride in. So you can't make sense out of nonsense. So that's the goal, is to eradicate everything that America takes pride in. And so this movie, he goes into, and he literally names people. Keith Ellison is in this. Okay. He names all the people. Bernie Sanders is in this. But he names the people. He also talks about how they have systematically broken down the efficacy of our government, and that many, and I think he says 80 upwards to 90% of the people even serving in Congress and Senate wouldn't have even passed the background test back in the 80s. So it has been a slow deterioration. There's been an infiltration. It's called The Enemies Within by Trevor Loudon. If you have streaming and you have Prime, Amazon Prime, it's on for free right now. Otherwise, if you order it, I think it's no more than $8 or $9 to order that. If you haven't seen it, please go out and watch that, because once you watch that, number one, prepare to be angry. Okay. Number two, it will answer a lot of questions, and it will make sense of the things that you're watching when it comes to the things that are happening within our government, things that are happening in our broadcasting and the media, and the policies that are being pushed forward. You will watch this and you'll say, oh, well, it's perfectly a part of that plan. It's really important. And then you mentioned Dinesh D'Souza.
Love Dinesh D'Souza.
I absolutely love. I could go to sleep listening to this man in headphones.
No.
Yeah.
His voice is so it's so captivating, and then he just you can't rattle this guy.
And what's important about Dinesh is that Dinesh came from, is it Nepal?
Nepal.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly.
He was a child. He was a studier of civilizations. Okay. The Roman Empire, America. And so when he moved to United States, he was neutral. He wasn't Democrat. He wasn't Republican. He just wanted to know all about America. And so in following that, that's how he fell into the conservative way, because he was simply just studying America and the way our government runs and why it was so successful. Upon that, he made a discovery that, one side operates one way, and then there's another side that operates in a completely different way, and one seems to really operate truly to what the traditional great America that I read when I was a child, and one is completely going off into a different direction. And so keep that in mind, because so many people will say, well, Dinesh D'Souza is biased. He's conservative. So of course he's going to, but he's just simple, plain, neutral facts. The facts are the facts, and you can't ignore the facts.
Right.
So,
thank you. And that's what America needs to do. That's what America needs to learn to do. And Dag and I said this the last time we went live together, is that the liberals have to learn that the facts have nothing to do with your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the
Facts
problem.
Don't care about your feelings.
And we know as Christians that we are not supposed to let our feelings control us. We're not supposed to be controlled by the flesh, right? And so, Dag, this is what's so crazy about what I'm watching, the slow deterioration, right, of America from within, is that they have to keep people distracted. COVID, let's keep the people distracted. They won't have to focus on the failed policies in this democratic controlled, let's just say inner cities or plantations, as I like to say. They don't have to, they'll be distracted. They know that our policies have failed. What are they doing now to also distract the rest of these liberals? After their buildings were burned down, what do they do now, right? Oh, well, Donald Trump, we need to have another investigation against him for trying to do this and trying to do that. But all the while, even though our policies have failed, we have failed to protect our citizens, we also want the federal government to pay for our deficit due to us being feckless. Okay, to cover up our failures. And also, we're going to psychologically manipulate our Democrats by playing a race card. So what happens, Dag and Die? You know what? There's two parts. So the guy that was just shot, we just found another narrative to use to distract them from our failed policies, and then Die. The dad comes on. Well, listen to this man. He's a victim. He said he hates all whites. What's up with all these distractions? Can we actually focus on what is the problem? And let me just tell you guys this, and I'm going to wrap this up real quick. This is what I hate about liberalism. Liberalism pretends to give you a cure to the problem, when liberalism is actually the problem. And what they offer you is called the placebo. That's the Democrat Party. They create the problem and then give you a placebo effect.
Well, being in Chicago, CC, what city do you live in, CC?
I'm in Minneapolis. I'm in
Okay, so you're in
I'm in
Minnesota.
George Floyd, Ilhan Omar.
Oh, God. Oh, I couldn't even choke down a bowl of Cheerios with her name on my mind.
Ilhan Omar
So,
from Somalia.
listen, for 55 years, I have watched Democrats completely destroy the minority communities and move them from one part of the city to the other with a promise of a better life when it only gets worse. That is the reason we have the crime that we have today. Because sooner or later, you're going to run out of freaking space.
Yeah.
And you're going to put all the shit bags in one area, and they're just going to start shooting up everybody inadvertently.
Mm-hmm.
Democratic policy has done nothing more than in like the city of Chicago. And don't get me wrong, they've turned terrible neighborhoods. The neighborhood I grew up in as a kid that was black and Hispanic is now a gentrified neighborhood, which gives some credence to the kids marching in that video we all saw, going, "Give us back our home." Well, no, screw you. When you owned it, it was worth $2,000. Now it's worth $200,000. So you're not getting it back.
Right.
But the point is that the city of Chicago did that. The politicians did that. The people didn't do it who bought the new home. They have nothing to do with that.
It wasn't a normal gentrification.
It took years. It took decades. They tore down Cabrini Green, the Robert Taylor homes.
Oh, yeah.
They just
I remember that.
They kept moving minorities to worse and worse neighborhoods. Now those neighborhoods are terrible.
Why not go in and fix the problem?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Democrats,
stop voting
Democrats only come out to support the minorities during voting season. Period. I watched it consistently.
Yes.
As a guy who loves the city of Chicago, oh yeah, both dailies. And Jade Byrne, you did great. You made everything great. But
Harold Washington was awesome.
Harold Washington. But Harold Washington, to be quite honest with you, did the same thing. He got on that train. Oh, we're going to gentrify these neighborhoods.
Yeah, but he was a pleasant man. I liked listening to him.
He was very nice to listen to. I'm with you. He was. And he was a handsome man. He was very kind. But at the end of the day, when you look at it, and I come back here and I'm, 50 years old, and I'm I'm 55 now, and I'm watching this. I didn't want to vote for Obama the second time, but I did. And then I'm realizing, and I'm getting more and more and more involved with politics because I watched it really screw up my businesses, my friends' businesses, those policies. And I went, nobody really cared about the minorities. Yeah. And when I have tried to put together events in really repressed neighborhoods, I'm told you can't go there because you're white. So how do I help fix the problem? There's a question for you, Cece. I really have a desire to make a difference not because I'm white, not because I feel I have white privilege that was stolen from black people. No.
Right.
If I could put up a finger, guess which one I would throw up if somebody said that to me. Not playing that. I want to do the right thing because I'm a good American and I care about my other fellow Americans regardless of your color.
Right.
But I'm being told you can't. I have a friend who's from Chicago, which I plan to have on the show. He moved to Atlanta to escape the horrible racism that he felt he's a black guy, the Democratic Party was really portraying under its skin, and went and opened up a weed farm outside of Atlanta, Georgia, Southern Georgia. And now he's a success. And he tried to recruit a bunch of, inner city people he knew, and went, no. They didn't want to leave the handouts they were getting because the Democratic Party in Chicago has done nothing but make promises. And then when people go, hey, you made us a promise, here, we'll give you some money and some extra food stamps. so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Handouts.
It's all
Something for
about
nothing.
handouts.
Something for nothing.
Same thing they did in 1933. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Control.
The New
So-
Deal.
When you got
So-
the money, you got the control.
Let me ask you, Cece, what would you, I'm a white, well, clearly I'm a white guy. What,
But you can dance.
I can't dance.
Yes, you
I
can.
cannot-
No, you can
no.
dance. Good. Shut up. You can.
I can do the sprinkler.
I believe God.
The
Oh
lawn.
my
Move.
gosh.
I wanna
Um,
see you move.
You
Let
just
me
said the
ask you,
sprinkler.
What would your advice be to me? Because I got to tell you, I've tried to set up several events and I pulled out of all of them because people threaten my life. It's like, well, I want to come and raise money and help the community, and then you want to kill me? Well,
Yeah.
why am I going to bother?
Right.
What would be your advice to a white guy like me who says, you know what? I'm done with trying. You don't want to help yourselves. I'm trying to help you. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. So I think that I'm pretty sure you've reached out to people that you know. I mean, have you reached out? You've reached out to pastors and things like that. Have you?
No, I have not. I can't.
I
Listen,
would, yeah.
if I could walk into the Robbins neighborhood in Chicago with, let's just say, $200,000 and fix everything they broke on their own for no damn reason because they were mad,
Right.
and help some businesses, but yet I'm being told if I go there, I'll probably get shot. Well, guess what the deterrent is? I really don't want to risk getting killed.
It's not worth your life. Well, you don't want to
No,
give up
it's
your
not.
life for that.
But
I mean,
I will say I'm willing to risk my life.
Dad, you have a long question.
What?
No, I get it. No, I'm actually.
No,
I'm picking up what you're putting down, though.
Cece knows where I'm going, I hope.
What you're putting down. I'm picking it up. No, I got it. I think that you may have said something. I think that you hit on something that it's not worth giving. It's not worth dying over. Okay, and you can only help those who want help. And I'll be honest with you, this is something I struggle with. I'll tell you, there's a part of me, I don't want to ever say to give up on others because, you know, the believer in me is, you know, but there are people that.
There's no hope for some. Yeah.
You have to be
happen
receptive
overnight.
to help.
So what could the four of us do together?
Right.
I mean, listen, none of this matters if we just wake up every day and talk about it.
Correct.
We just become no different than Fox, CNN, and MSNBC. I'm willing to do anything if we can put a team together and pick a neighborhood and help it.
Let's do
What
it.
can we do?
Right. So
Clearly,
let's.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to
No,
interrupt you.
go ahead.
And
No.
just real quick.
No.
Clearly, Duran has a big voice. I have a big voice. Di has a big voice.
I have a big heart.
Okay. And her voice is smaller than her heart. That's probably true. And then we got you, Cece.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, going in, picking a neighborhood in Chicago, let's just say, third largest city in the country. We all have things. Let's not be unrealistic about this. We are all motivated by things we want to do in organizations we're connected with, right? So we want to do good things. We want to grow those organizations. So just as a hypothetical, we picked a neighborhood in Chicago. How could we do this?
How do we bring it together?
How do we bring it together? And how do we be brave enough? Because you and Duran would be just as much at risk.
Sure,
as
more
me,
so.
even though you're black, to
More
go in and
so.
try and help.
More so. I
More
think
so,
I would.
really.
I just think
Oh,
that
that's
they would see us
terrifying.
as traitors. So I think we go first.
Oh shit!
We're traitors.
I don't want that to happen.
Right.
That's a terrible idea I have then.
So does Duran know? Do you know anyone in those neighborhood that is at least open to conversation or open to approach? Because that would be your way.
Here's how brave I am, Cece.
Mm-hmm.
I will go into any one of those neighborhoods and knock on doors. I have no problem with that.
So I would reach out. Is it possible? Can we reach out to Bill Winston Ministries? He's a well-known pastor there. and he actually preaches about people not taking handouts, and that, you know, you're being hustled every 4 years. He literally is preaching that.
Here's the thing, Dag, right? Because I want you to remember that CC and I are with Blexit, right?
Yes.
So I want to clarify, my agenda is not to change a person's mind. That's not my agenda, right?
It's to provoke thought.
Exactly, that's it. So I don't go into people's neighborhoods or their dens. Let's just say that, the dens, right? That's just like you go into Lion's Lair, right? And
I do.
No, hold on, Dag. Yeah, it's like you try to go into a lion's den and you try to tell a lion not to be a lion. You do not convert people on their own turf. You have to bring them out of their element to see a new element in order to have a new train of thought.
Robbins or Edgeland.
That's what Stand For is all about. They will, if they don't know about Stand For, they will know about Stand For. If they don't know about Blexit, they will know about Blexit.
Did I go hang door hangers in those neighborhoods?
No, you don't go to their neighborhood. Nope, you just keep doing what you're doing right now. Because CC's been on a lot of the meetings with us, right? And Dag, you have too. I keep telling, this is one of the things that I've learned as an SDR, right? You do not look for people. You make people look for you. That's always important. And the way that you do that is the quality of your message. See, each and every person that's on my Facebook, I haven't looked for them. They found me. Right. Because of the quality of my message.
You're not forcing anyone.
Exactly.
You want them to take the initiative.
If you exactly, if you
then they've expressed that they're open to change.
Exactly. And if you go looking for people, it's called wasting your time and effort. Your effort needs to be with those who are interested. You cannot make a person interested who is disinterested. You would only make them more frustrated. So those are just the fundamental things about basically recruiting. And always keep it simple, sweetie. I love saying that, right? You always keep it simple, sweetie. And I'm going to say this again. They may not know us right now, but they will know us. King didn't go to each and every neighborhood. No, King stuck to his message. And he said, hey, if you agree with me, follow me, march with me. And what happened? Those people came to King. 250,000 people went to the Lincoln Monument the day when he gave his speech that was completely life-changing for the entire country and abroad, the entire world. Yeah, if you don't look for people, you work on the quality of your message, and the right people will always come to you. Remember, I like quality, not quantity.
Well, I'm with you there.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like, I'm really kind of fearless. I'd like to find a way to do something great.
Mm-hmm.
And,
you are.
Well, no, I don't personally. I'm not fulfilled. I mean, I love the music that we do, and I don't. Maybe it's that I'm sick and tired of being hated for something I never did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really kind of something that aggravates me. I don't
Sure.
want people to hate me because I didn't do anything.
Right.
I want to send a different message and know I do give a shit. I'm not a Black Lives Matter. I'm about lives of Blacks matter. I'm about lives of whites matter. I'm about lives of people matter.
How about just life in general?
Just whatever you want, any moniker, nationality, or whatever you want to put. I'm about life. So I'm so sick and tired of this. And I'm tired. I'm so sad and disappointed to see our youth, white, black, Asian, completely messed up and burning down car dealerships and in businesses. It's not just black kids doing this.
Right.
There's
right.
There are
right.
certain factions like that shit that happened a couple weeks ago in Chicago. Yeah, that was a whole Black Lives Matter.
No, there were a lot of white kids on
that last time on Michigan Avenue was not. That was a whole black movement of hating. We're gonna go destroy Michigan Avenue again. But a majority of it is just really across the country, a combination. And quite frankly, I think you see a lot of more stupid white kids than you see black kids. So I don't know.
You could be really effective if you can get woke white people to actually recognize that they are part of the issue. They're part of the problem. So you're feeling guilty for being successful in America. And so you think you're helping by now telling people that, oh, you've been so mistreated in this country and you poor thing. You know, that doesn't help. So
well, but I'm not let's be
you.
very clear here.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling woke or desperate.
No, I'm saying people not
Hey,
like.
I'm losing sight on you too.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's getting a little dark. Hey, you guys, we are basically competing with the RNC right now.
Uh-oh.
And I have to start getting packed because I have an early flight to Cali.
Let's just say really quick, make sure everyone tunes into that RNC so we can give them as much ratings as possible. Not really.
Make sure you share this video too.
We got it on every TV.
It's not going to be difficult to beat the ratings of the DNC last week because, I mean, people were falling asleep and start tuning out by Thursday. But let's make sure we have our TVs tuned in to the RNC.
Hey, and Cece, can I ask you, can we reach out together and communicate?
Absolutely. Are we Facebook? Are we?
I don't know. You have to go to the DAG Show, Facebook.com/the DAG Show, or Narid, which is Dag Darren spelled backwards. Just spell Dag Darren backwards, and you'll find me personally because all my pages are under heavy Facebook restrictions.
Okay.
Well, we'll talk to Devron
But
after this.
and we'll send you links. But
yeah,
you're wonderful, and thanks for joining this.
You're looking at my tag right there at CC Davis. If you pursue me as a friend, and then you can give me all that info, and I'll accept you, and we'll connect.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead, Di.
Because with this guy, I don't get to say much, but this is not a black, white, whatever anybody might think. This is because I am an emotionally heartfelt person. This man lost his life the other day. A fireman, I believe he was retired after 26 years, and he followed in his brother and father's footsteps in Detroit. And he saved 3 young girls from drowning. Do we hear about this at all in the news?
Nope.
Doesn't fit the narrative.
He saved them and got taken out by the riptide and lost his life. And they found him this morning. He lost his life, okay?
She's starting to cry.
And his name is Savad Johnson from Detroit. And I'm going to cry because when you can put yourself before someone else, you know, that's the core of a real human being right there. Okay, so that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Awesome.
Dag, Dag and Di, thank you, and CC.
Thank you.
Thank you again too for coming on.
Nice to meet you.
Looking forward to working with you.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Dag, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
It's getting dark here in Chicago.
Yeah, you guys are. Yep, I cannot see you guys.
All right. I love you both, and we'll connect.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it. Pursue me.
CC, I'm gonna give you a call when I land in Cali. Okay.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
The DAG Show. Go to the DAG Show page, and we'll hook you up with everything else to all your followers. Facebook.com/the DAG Show. New website's opening up. Good stuff.
Awesome.
All right. All right, guys.
All right. Walk in love.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us.